Ms. Willis, how did you know to come into the courtroom right then?
There were people I was pacing in my office.
Okay.
And I heard someone yell, "His testimony is done." It only made sense to me that I would be your next witness. And I've been very anxious to have this conversation with you today. So I ran to the courtroom.
So as soon as you heard that Mr. Wade was done testifying, that's when you just assumed you would be the next witness?
It only makes sense.
Did you listen to any of the testimony?
I've been in my office pacing, ma'am.
Did you listen to any of the arguments?
I did hear the arguments this morning. It's ridiculous to me that you lied on Monday, and yet here we still are. And I did listen to that argument.
All right, so that was it, just the argument, no testimony.
Right, I listened to the argument this morning where Adam Abadi, I thought, did an excellent job pointing out how dishonest you were with the court on Monday. And I'm actually surprised that the hearing continued. But since it did, here I am.
Great. So let's just talk about what you did in preparation for today. Did you meet with Mr. Wade at all? Once the motion was filed, did you meet with Mr. Wade and talk to him about the motion that I filed to disqualify you?
On this first January motion?
Yes.
I don't know if you could say talked about. I probably had some choice words about some of the things that you said that were dishonest within this motion. So I don't know that it was a conversation. As you know, Mr. Wade is a Southern gentleman. Me, not so much.
Okay, but my question was, did you have a conversation with him?
I didn't have a substantive conversation.
You did not?
I read this motion, skimmed it more so, and I probably said some choice things to him about some of the lies that were told.
Okay.
As you come on to the page, kindly hit the like bell and don't forget to subscribe if you have not done so as yet. Thank you.
You've never given Mr. Wade money through Cash App.
No.
The only money you've ever given him outside of a contract is cash.
I didn't give him money in a contract, so that was cute. But I didn't give him money outside in a contract. What happened is, no, we're going to answer it since you said it. He worked more hours than he was paid, and the county paid him for the work that he did. So don't be cute with me and then think that you're not going to get an answer.
And I will ask you about the contract in a minute. I asked you about cash. Did you ever pay him anything? And I'm trying to qualify my questions. I'm not talking about the contract with Fulton County that was paid. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about outside of that. Did you ever pay him anything other than cash?
I've only given cash a few times in the course of what we're talking about. So if we would go to dinner,
let her finish her answer.
If we would go to dinner, I wouldn't give him cash because he paid for dinner or I paid for dinner. I've given him cash only a few times in life, probably 4. Probably the most money I've ever handed him is $2,500. The least amount of money I've handed him, probably $2,500 and $1,000.
You never wrote him a check?
Ma'am, I don't have checks.
Okay. So you have no proof of any reimbursement for any of these things because it was all cash, right?
The testimony of one witness is enough to prove a fact.
So my question was, do you have any proof?
Is that what you're intimating right here?
I'm asking if you have any proof that you paid him any of these
The proof is what I just told you.
A motion to quash this based on the motion. I'll make that.
Okay, so the position of the district attorney at this point is that she's no longer contesting the subpoena. Ms. Merchant is called her as the next witness.
I would ask, I need 3 documents in front of me, and they're the 3 filings of Ms. Merchant. 3 filings. Does anyone have the 3 filings of Ms. Merchant? Does the court have the 3 filings of Ms. Merchant?
When you say the filings, you mean like the pleadings?
The pleadings, yes, Your Honor.
Okay. I think we can locate those for you. A supplemental.
I want the one filed on January the 8th, the one filed immediately after we filed ours, and the final one.
If you want to take a break to get them, I can make a copy.
You know a witness is badass when they step into the courtroom, onto the witness stand, without anybody asking them a question, starts demanding what they need. So Fani Willis told the judge and the prosecuting attorney what she needed, and had them scrambling to get it all together. She said she needed 3 filings before they can even get started. They had to take a break to get it all together. Now that's a bad mama jamma. Now guys, don't go out there and do the same thing in a courtroom, because I don't think it's going to work for the average person. She was given leniency because she is the DA.
Won't talk over each other. And from there, we'll get through this. Ms. Merchant.
Thank you, Judge. How often did Mr. Wade visit you at a place where you were living between 2019 and 2021?
So you want to start with the lie that he lived with me in South Fulton in 2019, a home he's never been to? That's one lie you told in your document.
Judge, I didn't ask her about that.
Ms. Merchant, I want you to ask a very precise question. I think she's saying and answering that he did not live with her. So why don't we break that up into smaller parts?
And I didn't ask about living.
But she put in your, while we're talking about professionalism, while we're talking about professionalism, she put in 3 different documents he lived with me.
Full opportunity to respond.
And filed that with the court.
In 2019.
He's never been to South Fulton. In 2019, I lived in South Fulton. He has never been to my residence in 2019. Ever. Not once.
With that being said, I don't think that means that everything that has been raised in the defendant's motions, and Mr. Roman's or in the ones adopted by co-counsel, demand an evidentiary hearing. The testimony that would be produced at this hearing is not a deposition. It is still subject to the rules of evidence. And so I think the facts that are going to be developed on the record have to have some relevance and some materiality. Now, contradictions or how things play out could impact that, could change what is relevant. But at the outset, there are a few things that I don't think are. So to that end, I don't think the particulars of Mr. Wade's experience are relevant. I don't think those are material for an evidentiary hearing. His alleged lack of experience handling RICO cases or any inferences regarding the intent from that can be addressed at argument. But in my mind, as long as a lawyer has a heartbeat and a bar card, that lawyer's appointment standing alone is a matter within the district attorney's discretion. I haven't found a reason to find that the regulations or the alleged violations of Fulton County Code are relevant in and of themselves. I think the violations of these rules can be argued as a matter of law if counsel wish to do that. But I've yet to see case law or anything indicating that these violations, if they did occur, are relevant to disqualification or a pending criminal case. And then finally, the motions have also evolved to include forensic misconduct on behalf of the district attorney. And again, I don't see how these are a necessary topic for an evidentiary hearing.
According to case text, Section 1913-3.7 request for evidentiary hearing, any party desiring an evidentiary hearing shall file with the chair or such other person designated by the commission an original and 2 copies of a written request therefore, together with proof of service of a copy of such request upon the other party.
Forensic misconduct on behalf of the district attorney. And again, I don't see how these are a necessary topic for an evidentiary hearing, unless it's made an issue in some way. The public statements, in my mind, speak for themselves. And the application of the law to those statements can be argued, and I don't think any further testimony qualifying them is going to affect the analysis.
Fulton County Superior Court Judge Scott McAfee has a lot to consider as he decides whether to disqualify District Attorney Fani Willis from prosecuting the election interference case against former President Donald Trump and 14 others.
No one knew. That's fine.
No.
I ask you who knew.
Answer it and then explain this, Willis.
I am very private. When I supervised Mr. Body and Mr. McAfee, they didn't know who I was dating, but I can assure you I was dating somebody. So that I kept something private, that's my private life, is not any mystery to anyone. It's like a woman doesn't have the right to keep her private life private. And I'm speaking on this because there have been all these intimations.
You just haven't answered the question, Ms. Willis.
I'm sorry, what was the question, Your Honor?
Is there anyone else who knew about it? And then you can explain.
I don't know. I don't think so. I certainly didn't go out telling my business to the world.
Okay, so the best of your recollection, you didn't inform anyone on the prosecution team that the individual that you had chosen to lead the prosecution team had a personal relationship with you.
So
Is that correct?
That's inaccurate. Your question is inaccurate.
What?
Because you stated that the person I chose we had a personal relationship. So we had a friendship. We have all these distinguishing factors. Remember, when I chose him in November of 21, first of all, let's get this straight. Mr. Wade was not actually my first choice. That's no insult to him. No, it is you, because of the way you phrased the question. You said, when I chose him, I didn't inform people of a personal relationship. We have defined personal as romantic. It is an inaccurate way to state the question.
And I will certainly restate it so it is very accurate.
Okay, and please do not yell at me.
You hired Mr. Wade the first time on November 1st of 2021, correct?
Of 2021, yes, sir.
Your testimony is, whether one accepts it or not, your testimony is that at the time you hired Mr. Wade, there had never been a romantic relationship with Mr. Wade before you hired him, correct?
Yes, my testimony is that we were very good friends, but we're talking about sex, so let's just don't.
No, I'm not talking about, I'm saying romantic relationship doesn't necessarily have to be just sex.
Well,
it can be dating, it can be holding hands, it can be any of those things that one might call romantic. I'm asking you whether or not prior to November 1st of 2021, there was a romantic relationship with Mr. Wade. That's very simple. It's either yes or no.
I don't consider my relationship with him to be romantic before that. I'm not a hand holder, so no.
Okay, that's fine. Now, let's move beyond November 1st of 2021, excuse me. I understand your testimony. There was no romantic relationship with Mr. Wade until early in 2022, whether it be January or February or March, early in 2022, correct?
I would say sometime between February and April. Yes, sir.
All right. Now I'm asking you about that time period when it became romantic.
Yes.
Okay?
Thank you.
Okay. You didn't see the need, if I understand, to tell any of the people on the prosecution team when you had established a romantic relationship with Mr. Wade that the lead prosecutor, that is the man that was basically giving orders to others, was dating or having a romantic relationship with you, correct?
I'm going to object to relevance at this point, Your Honor.
This is relevance. Just to prove or attempting to show that there is an issue on the credibility about the relationship. The failure to have informed anyone on her team that she was having a romantic relationship with the lead prosecutor, I suggest gives rise to that inference. That's the relevance.
The inference that
no one knew.
You had a tax lien in 2022, $4,600.
Did you say I did?
And you did not use this cash that you had to reimburse Mr. Wade to pay that off, correct?
No. I went shopping too when I didn't pay it off.
You were quoted in the book, and I will give you a chance to say this is a misquote. You were quoted, when they asked you about if you wanted to run for office for DA, you were quoted, I really don't want to be financially effed up again. Do you remember saying that?
So what that refers to,
my question first is if you remember saying that.
I remember saying something similar to that, but I would like to be able to explain what that's in reference to. That's not in reference to anything else. It was a huge sacrifice to be district attorney in Fulton County. Huge. I was doing just fine. I had a municipal court judgeship that was paying me $100,000 a year, and like you got to show up twice a week. It's the easiest thing I've ever done in life. I also had private clients that were paying me to represent them, so I was able to have a law practice and that. Raising two daughters by myself, there were times in life where things were hard, and so I was telling people, I don't really run for DA. I don't want to run for DA. I'm in a good position right now. I got this easy job that I enjoy, being the chief judge at the city of South Fulton. I'm making money at the law firm, and I'm not sure that I want to make the sacrifice. And why does it always have to be me? Eventually, I prayed. I think that I was the appropriate person. I think that I did that. So when you're referring to that, what I'm saying is, why should I make a sacrifice again? And what I was not talking about is being district attorney. Once you get elected district attorney, you're in a fine financial position. I make over $200,000 a year. What I was talking about is I ran for judge. When I ran for judge, I took $50,000 of my personal money out of my retirement. And that money ended up being lost. And I know when you bet on yourself, you're going to have to bet money on yourself. And so what I was talking about was not wanting to go through the personal financial expense of running for office. By no means did I think that I was going to be financially in a bad position once I won. Let's talk about what I was up against, because it's important to understand that comment. I had a district attorney who had been here for 24 years. People, it's very relevant as to what my mindset was about this. So I'm trying to answer your question. So what I was saying is right, but it is about my finances. If I didn't, nobody put me in the seat. So I had already run for office once. I had spent $50,000 of my own money running, and that was nothing. And so when I'm talking to those offers, I'm talking about the contemplation of the sacrifice of the run, not the sacrifice of once you become DA. The odds were against me. I was likely going to lose the election based on who I was running against. I don't believe I had a tax lien on my property.
You have a tax lien on your property?
You got to talk up louder, Mr. Hunt. Okay, we already covered that, Mr. Gillen. I need new ground here.
I'm asking the question. I'm trying to figure out how someone can have a tax lien.
Then ask that question.
But not use the money that they allegedly said they have.
Well, I think Ms. Merchant asked that exact same question. Said she didn't use the money to pay her tax lien. So what's your question that's new?
So I was going to build on that to say...
No more building. It's already built.
All right.
It's the same way you pay a bill.
So just put the top on it if you need to, okay?
It's the same way you owe a bill and go shopping.
Well, now, have you ever used, did you say earlier that you used Cash App?
When I would pay Robin Bryant, I used Cash App.
What is Cash App, for the record?
I don't need to know that for the record. Let's keep going.
Well, so if you're paying Robin with Cash App, why aren't you allegedly paying Mr.
There's no alleged here.
Why aren't you paying allegedly Mr. Wade with Cash App?
I don't think Mr. Wade does Cash App.
Do you ask him?
I think he's told me he doesn't do Cash App.
Okay, so that's the reason why you didn't use Cash App.
He's sitting next to me. I hand him the money.
Because there would be a record in Cash App of your making payments, correct?
Yes, but I didn't think that I was making a record in a personal relationship.
Because when you're filing and I know that I'm going to move into this financial statement here. You were asked just a second ago about your non-disclosure form, or your disclosure form of an Exhibit 21, where we agree that Mr. Wade is a prohibited source, correct?
What I agree to is I don't believe he's giving me gifts. You would like to classify these trips as gifts, but I've always paid my fair share on these trips, so I did not look at them as gifts. I don't think that what this is disclosing, and they can tell me if they mean something different, I don't think it means that.
As you come on to the page, kindly hit the like bell and don't forget to subscribe if you have not done so as yet. Thank you.
The romantic relationship ended before the indictment was returned, yes or no?
To a man, yes.
Well, to a man, yes. To you, no?
She's explained this. She's explained this.
And did the forthcoming indictment have anything to do with that? Or was it just a coincidence?
Let's go on and have the conversation.
I'll just ask you whether or not it was a coincidence.
Had absolutely nothing to do with this. It's interesting that we're here about this money. Mr. Wade is used to women that, as he told me one time, the only thing a woman can do for him is make him a sandwich. We would have brutal arguments about the fact that I am your equal. I don't need anything from a man. A man is not a plan. A man is a companion. And so there was tension always in our relationship, which is why I would give him his money back. I don't need anybody to foot my bills. The only man who's ever foot my bills completely is my daddy.
Is there anything else you would like to add to that?
No.
Sure.
But I'm sure we'll talk about it further.
No, we're not going to talk about it further.
All right, no back and forth. Let's sit down. Next question.
Please tell us, talk about 2020.
I had some contact with Mr. Wade in 2020. one of the reasons your allegations are so preposterous, or Ms. Merchant's that you have joined, is...
Ma'am, I didn't ask you about the allegations. I asked you about your contact. That's all I ask you. Okay? I appreciate that you want to say something. But I'm interested in, did you have contacts with Mr. Wade in 2020? And your answer so far has been yes, correct?
Very limited contact because Mr. Wade had a form of cancer that makes your allegations somewhat ridiculous.
And I do appreciate the characterization.
I'm not going to emasculate a black man, but I'm just telling you.
I'm sorry, what?
I'm not going to emasculate a black man. Did you understand that?
This hearing was very contentious, and people are split on whether or not she should have dated someone she worked with. Even if he is an independent contractor, the judge have to deliberate on his decision and hand it down. That is the next step in this process. As you leave the page, kindly hit the like bell and don't forget to subscribe if you have not done so as yet. Thank you.